Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Let's Talk Headlines series. I'm your host Jay, and this is The Objective. I want to thank you for tuning into Season 3. That's right, Season 3, Episode 1. And I know that it's been a while since I spoke to you guys, the last episode being August 11th, and so much has happened since then. But I have been busy, and I want to direct you to www.theobjectivepodcast.com. That's right. Made my own website. This is going to be the hub of all of my content. If you go to the website, you'll see there are tabs on the top of the page: home, news, podcast, articles, store, about, and contact. I implore you to check each of those tabs out. Under the news tab, I will be giving a summary of certain news events that I want you to pay attention to, news that I'm paying attention to. And then linked below, there'll be buttons with different news organizations such as Fox, The Hill, CNN, National Review, just so that you have perspective. It's very important, even though you may disagree with some of these news agencies, that you have perspective. You see where they're coming from, the fact patterns that they're using, the fact patterns that they may be ignoring, that you may see in other stories. So I think it's very important to be informed in that regard. So again, that's www.theobjectivepodcast.com. This episode, I don't know if you're watching it on the website or on YouTube, but regardless, this podcast will be posted directly to that website. Like I said, it will be the hub of my content. Since the last episode of mine was to do with Jeffrey Epstein in August 2019, I think it would be fair to kind of catch up to that story before we move into anything else. I do want to talk about the Impeachment Inquiry. I also want to talk about a name that some of you may be familiar with, Nick Fuentes. We'll get into that whole thing in a minute. But first, Jeffrey Epstein. Now, information has come out that sheds doubt on the official narrative that Jeffrey Epstein was killed. Now, from the get-go, folks, you understand that coincidences, they aren't commonplace. I mean, the whole mystery behind coincidences is the fact that they are not commonplace. When you have a line of coincidences conveniently placed, you become a little skeptical, or at least I do. For example, think of the Jeffrey Epstein thing. He was taken off suicide watch. His roommate was removed. The cameras that would show you who was going into his cell and who was exiting his cell was broken. Both guards that were given the responsibility of monitoring him fallen asleep. Now, this is coincidence of biblical proportions. Very bizarre. And, the prudent person, the vigilant person would look at this and say, hold on, we need to get some answers here. And this skepticism has spread across the internet, spread across the masses like a wildfire. I'm sure if you spend any time on social media, look at memes or whatever, you're going to see the whole quote unquote Epstein didn't kill himself. Now, this is all, this all crescendoed when Project Veritas actually released video of ABC reporter Amy Robach, I believe her name is, who was caught on a hot mic explaining that she had this story on Epstein 3 years prior. She had, corroborating evidence. She had interviews with the accusers. She had information that would implicate Bill Clinton. She had so much damning evidence and content, whether it be circumstantial evidence or not. This was definitely worthy, especially by the standards of today's media, to run this story even for public awareness. Now, notice I said this was 3 years ago. What else was occurring about 3 years ago? The 2016 election. She was told by her executives at ABC to kill the story. They're saying, "Oh, who's that? No one knows who that is. It's a stupid story. Blah blah blah." This is interesting Very interesting. And ABC came out with a statement saying that they didn't have enough evidence. It didn't meet the journalistic standards to air the story. But that, it doesn't make much sense when you look at some of the stories they air about President Trump, per se. The whole Russian investigation, there's no corroborating evidence. There's a bunch of circumstantial nonsense that actually, yielded no fruit whatsoever, as we know at the end of the Mueller report. So that, adds skepticism to, what people think about the official narrative. What are these people trying to hide? They're obviously, like, Epstein was well connected to the elites, and we know that Bill Clinton flew to his island. We know that Alan Dershowitz flew to his island. We know that Prince Andrew flew to the island. And one of the things that Amy Robach said is that they were receiving threats from the palace. So, there is something here, but no media is brave enough to stand out and investigate this and to shed light on this. There are a few, and this is why I really do appreciate Project Veritas. This is true guerrilla journalism. This is how you get the truth. This is how you get past the bureaucracy. This is how you embed into the culture of these news organizations, and then you have these loyal people who are loyal to the truth. They come out with this damning information that should make us all concerned. Any person, any private citizen who is defending these mega news organizations only because they hold what you think to be your interests, it's ridiculous. We need to be holding these people accountable. We need to be holding these organizations who are responsible for disseminating information and making the public aware. We need to hold them accountable when they try to bomb and run interference for certain people in different stories. It's ridiculous. So kudos to Project Veritas. James O'Keefe, stay safe. And you know what? It's not even a partisan thing where we start to discredit him. Like, conservatives start to discredit O'Keefe if he, brings or reveals damning information on Fox News. I already think Fox News is compromised, to be quite honest, after they hired Donna Brazile. This is the same Donna Brazile who fed debate questions or town hall questions to Hillary Clinton before the debate even begun. There's so much corruption, and this is why I'm such a proponent of independent media. This is why I'm such a proponent of those who have a lot to lose but continue to speak the truth. And we got to stop being consumers. Let me stop my tirade here. But there are many questions that need to be answered in relation to Jeffrey Epstein. And you would think, and maybe this is what the people behind this thought, that, Jeffrey Epstein, a scumbag, a guy who, violated young women, underage girls, and trafficked these young women. People probably thought, oh, if he was killed, good riddance, we don't care. But people want the truth. And the fact of the matter is that Jeffrey Epstein had connections that interest the common person, connections of people that are in government in high places. So who knows what new information will come out, what will be revealed. If there's more hidden tape, if there's more information that's being hidden from the public that will come out, as a result of guerrilla journalism, as O'Keefe calls it, just keep your eyes open and continue to seek the truth. There are 358 days to the next presidential election in the United States of America. And the Democrats state that by December, or by Christmas, actually, 2019, the impeachment should be concluded. President Trump will be out of office. This is what they state. Representative Al Green, a Democrat, stated that if they don't impeach President Trump, he will win again. Now, that seems immoral to me, folks. Now, is impeachment supposed to be a tool used by the opposition for political expediency, or is this supposed to be a tool used in the best interest of Americans to get rid of a president who has been convicted of high crimes and misdemeanors? Is it supposed to be used for political expediency, or does it have a moral foundation as to why it was created, a way to protect the interests of the American people? Even Nancy Pelosi stated that Impeachment is a bad idea unless it is bipartisan. It's a bad idea. It will divide the country. And unless there is compelling and overwhelming evidence, we will not proceed. Well, the Republicans voted 0 in favor of impeachment, and the Democrats, an overwhelming majority, voted for it, some not voting at all. But still, since they do have the majority, they won the right, I should say, to have an impeachment inquiry. It's not bipartisan by any stretch of the imagination. And the whole basis of this impeachment is quid pro quo. Quid pro quo is Latin for something for something. So an exchange, a trade. The question arises, was there quid pro quo in the phone call between President Donald Trump and the Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky? There is an argument on both sides. There absolutely is. Okay? One of them is a bit of a stretch. The other one, at face value, can say, no, there was none there. But I can kind of see where you're coming from. It's very important to understand quid pro quo is not a negative thing. Neither is it a positive thing. It is just a thing that describes another thing. Let's break that down. Quid pro quo, something for something, and it's an exchange, right? That happens all the time in politics. It happens all the time in life. It happens all the time. Any transaction, something for something, that is not good or bad. What allows us to characterize that something for something is the content which is being exchanged. The Democrats are stating, this is their position, that President Trump, in that phone call that he released after being accused, and they didn't expect that, so it kind of screwed him. But the Democrats are saying that President Trump was using his elected office as president to benefit himself by getting information on Joe Biden and his son and Burisma Holdings and the prosecutor that was fired. We'll get into that in a second. And the Democrats are saying that he is doing that. He wants that information on the 2016 elections and the hard drive that wasn't given over to the FBI. He's using that information to benefit himself. That is the argument on behalf of the Democrats. But folks, what I need to understand, what would give the Democrats' argument credibility, is if they didn't completely ignore the fact that presidential candidate Joe Biden, in a video, this is a video during an interview, lots of people in the room, he literally explained something that he did that is textbook quid pro quo. Textbook using your office and your position as a way to benefit yourself and your family. This is what I don't understand. And this is what no Democrat pundit or political scientist will explain. None of them can satisfy this point. The fact that Joe Biden on a video interview said, listen, this prosecutor was looking into this company, a company called Burisma Holdings that his son was part of the board for, receiving $50,000 a month for an expertise that he has no history. There's no evidence that he has expertise in that field of natural gas, receiving $50,000 a month. A Ukraine prosecutor was looking into Burisma Holdings. And Joe Biden said, if you don't fire that prosecutor looking into the company that my son is a part of, getting a lucrative salary, if you do not fire him, we, the United States of America, will withhold over $1 billion in loan guarantees. And as he said in the interview, he said, well, son of a B, they fired him. That is textbook quid pro quo. And this is the thing. Even though it may be a stretch to say that there was a negative sense of quid pro quo in the conversation with Trump and President Zelensky, you have to be able to understand, and you have to be able to see that there was definitely a quid pro quo in that Biden interaction. And until you can say that, until you can acknowledge that, your points for impeaching the president and saying that phone call was made in bad faith It is nil. It does not hold any water. It has no strong foundation. It can't take you seriously. Oh my gosh. It's so frustrating that when you say, no, hold on a second, there's quid pro quo. That is blatant quid pro quo. And they say, no, hold on, look over there. Don't look over there. Don't look over there, bigot. Look over there at the president. Look at President Trump. And this is where they lack credibility, apart from the fact that Adam Schiff is having these closed door hearings, barring the American public from seeing what's going on in those closed doors when they're talking about impeaching the president of all people. You have Adam Schiff, who is leading this thing, and he's actually a material witness because the whistleblower went to him. You have the whole the fact that the whistleblower is actually someone who is familiar and friendly with Joe Biden. And Facebook and the likes are going as far as censoring people that are saying the name of the whistleblower, because with that name comes a history. With that name comes context. With that name comes, credibility of the whole impeachment inquiry, the whole investigation. And when you have these people, even though this name was published, I think initially by Drudge Report, and you have the news agencies saying now the public can't say that name. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. And it warrants serious concern. In addition to that presidential talk for 2020, I did write an article on my website. It's called In the 11th Hour, My Prediction for the 2020 Presidential Elections. Definitely give that a read. Summary, I do believe that Hillary Clinton will enter the race at the 11th hour. At the latest possible time, she will enter the race. I go way more in depth in my article, so give that a read. And I've been saying this since 2017. So it'll be really exciting if that does come to pass. We're just going to end here on Nicholas J. Fuentes. I don't know if you've heard his name. He is part of a group, maybe even the founder, or he's a host, according to his Twitter page, of America First. He has a respected Boston University alumni, Zoomer, Afro-Latino, gamer, campus paleo, conservative, Catholic, and comedian, he calls himself. He's a provocateur. His name came on the scene. Actually, I've been watching a bit of his commentaries. He had an interview with a guy named The Amazing Lucas. It's on YouTube. And one thing I can say is that Nicholas is a well-spoken, he is intelligent young man. He's 21 years old. And he leads this movement where he's pretty much against conservative Inc., as he calls them. Now, this is like the Turning Point USA with Charlie Kirk and Rob Smith, Candace Owen. He has been accused of being an ethno-nationalist, a white nationalist, alt-right, far-right, Nazi. So Nick Fuentes and his crew, they would go to like these question periods with Matthew Walsh from the Daily Wire, with Ben Shapiro, Andrew Clavin, Charlie Kirk, like I said before. They would go to speaking engagements that these guys have, and they would ask them questions about immigration, ask them questions about they'd pretty much just troll these events. And they're making, what they don't understand is that they are actually undermining the conservative party. Now, they're for, maintaining European tradition in America. They're for protecting the white race in America and their position of power in America. They're for, stopping immigration altogether. They're against interracial marriage. They are fools. And the reason why I say they're fools, I don't say that lightly. I say they're fools because they don't understand the damage they're doing. Well, they don't understand how stupid they themselves are appearing to the public but they're really undermining conservatism. And I truly don't believe, and I've held this for a while, that conservatism will be overthrown by left-wing hysteria. I think that conservatism will be transformed and undermined and compromised by groups such as these. Because any person in any group, whether you're Democrat or Republican, whether you're conservative or liberal, anyone who looks at race as a determining factor, as having utmost importance, rather than character and ideals and the ability to assimilate to a certain culture, anyone who uses race to transcend anything as a determining factor is a joke in my book. Look at social justice. That's why I'm terribly against social justice, because you're taking such things as race, things that you cannot change, and you're putting a certain value on that transcends the character of that person or that group. And this is why I say that his movement and his ideas are immoral. Do I think that he should be shut up and shut down? No. I think the best way to go about dealing with Nick Fuentes is to debate him, to debate ideas. I don't think that Charlie Kirk and the crew and Daily Wire have been going about this well. As a matter of fact, they are empowering Nick Fuentes. They're empowering this group to feel that they're the underdogs and that they're the ones that are correct, and that the powerful conservative movement is trying to trample upon their free speech. No, I think that Nick Fuentes should be able to openly debate some of these names, such as Charlie Kirk or Ben Shapiro. It shouldn't be, do not shun this guy. He's a young guy. I believe his values and his ideals are immoral. Claims to be a follower of Christ, but his actions and his words speak differently. Like I always say, folks, you shall know them by their fruit. And this guy's fruit does not speak Christian. I'm not saying that as a judgmental way or a condemning way. I'm speaking exactly as a result of what he's saying and the way that he discusses and talks about things to different people. I don't want to go into detail about some of the things that he says. He's a vulgar dude. So like I said, it's easy as that. You shall know them by their fruit. I'm a minority conservative, and I go toe to toe with any person of any race. Race is not it does not matter to me, and that's how I live my life. That's how I do my job. Things that people cannot change about themselves, to add an intrinsic value to that, whether it be to devalue or to add value to someone based on something that they cannot change, is immoral. America First, that movement with Nicholas J. Fuentes, is immoral. But again, do I think they should be shut down? Do I think they should be censored? Do I think that they should be taken off the social media platforms? Hell no, because that's how you validate these people. The best way and the only way to go against bad ideas are with good ideas in an open forum, so that people can weigh and gauge for themselves. Fungus and bacteria grows in darkness and, places where there's no sunlight. Let these people come out into the open. Life has such a way as validating what is good and right, what has worked, and discrediting that which is bad, that which is immoral, that which is unjust, that which is evil. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. Be sure, like I said, to visit www.theobjectivepodcast.com. But make it your goal to be objective. Have a good night.